Get ready, sports fans, because the Roger Report is dropping the hottest takes and biggest plays of the week. We're kicking things off with a look at the incredible showdown between the Giants and the Cowboys, where veteran quarterback Russell Wilson rolled back the years with a late go-ahead touchdown that had everyone on the edge of their seats. Next up, we're diving deep into the fantasy football world, spotlighting the absolute studs who lit up Week 2. Get ready to hear all about how Russell Wilson and the explosive wide receiver Malik Nabers were dominating the fantasy leaderboard, alongside other top performers like Amon-Ra St. Brown. But the action doesn't stop there. We're also bringing you the full breakdown of that nail-biting Giants versus Cowboys game, analyzing how the team unfortunately wasted a vintage Russell Wilson performance in a heartbreaking loss in Dallas. This was a game with so many twists and turns, you won't believe how it unfolded. And that's just the start of what we've got for you today. Stick around for all the detailed breakdowns, fantasy insights, and game analysis that you love. Don't miss a second, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Vintage Wilson returns in epic Giants-Cowboys thriller. In a game that had fans on the absolute edge of their seats, veteran quarterback Russell Wilson delivered a performance for the ages, reminiscent of his greatest hits, to lead the New York Giants against the Dallas Cowboys. This wasn't just any game. It was a high-stakes divisional clash where Wilson, with a perfectly placed 48-yard touchdown pass to star wide receiver Malik Nabers, looked to have sealed a monumental victory late in the fourth quarter. The game was a roller coaster of emotions, with both teams trading blows. Wilson, defying his age and recent criticism, showcased his signature elusiveness and pinpoint accuracy throughout the contest. His connection with Nabers was particularly electric, with the young receiver making spectacular plays, including a 167-yard, two-touchdown performance that put the NFL on notice. We also saw flashes of brilliance from wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson, who put up a career-high 142 yards and a touchdown, proving the Giants' receiving core is a force to be reckoned with. However, the defensive side of the ball, despite its preseason hype, struggled to contain the Cowboys' potent offense, particularly quarterback Dak Prescott. The Giants' defense, which had defensive backs Paulson Adebo and Jevon Holland and rookie linebacker Abdul Carter, ultimately couldn't hold the lead. A controversial late field goal by the Cowboys' Brandon Aubrey sent the game into overtime, where a critical interception by Wilson ultimately sealed the Giants' fate in a heartbreaking 40-37 loss. This defeat drops the Giants to an agonizing 0-2 start to the season, continuing a painful streak of losses against their rivals. Fans are already buzzing about Wilson's resurgence and the electrifying play of Nabers, with many lamenting the defensive lapses that cost the Giants a crucial win. The debate rages on about the team's ability to close out games and the effectiveness of their highly touted defense. But don't go anywhere, because the drama is far from over. We're about to break down the fantasy football studs who made Week 2 unforgettable, including a deep dive into Nabers' incredible outing. Fantasy Football Week 2, Wilson and Nabers lead the charge. Week 2 of the NFL season delivered a fantasy football feast, and at the top of the quarterback charts, Russell Wilson of the New York Giants made a resounding statement. Despite the Giants' tough loss to the Dallas Cowboys, Wilson threw for an incredible 450 yards and 3 touchdowns, proving he still has plenty of gas left in the tank and is a must-have for fantasy owners looking for a high-upside QB. His performance was highlighted by a spectacular 48-yard touchdown pass to rookie sensation Malik Nabers, who was an absolute monster in Week 2. Nabers hauled in 9 catches for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns, making him a top-tier fantasy receiver and a nightmare for opposing defenses. Alongside Nabers, teammate Wan'Dale Robinson also had a career day, racking up 142 yards and a touchdown, showcasing the Giants' potent passing attack. On the other side of the ball, Detroit Lions quarterback Jared Goff and receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown also put up massive numbers, with Goff throwing for 5 touchdowns and St. Brown dominating with 3 receiving scores. In the running back category, Indianapolis Colts Jonathan Taylor led the charge with a massive 165 rushing yards and a receiving touchdown, while Buffalo Bills' James Cook added 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. For the tight ends, Green Bay Packers' Tucker Kraft and Washington Commanders' Zach Ertz found the end zone, and Dallas Cowboys kicker Brandon Aubrey nailed a crucial 64-yard field goal to force overtime, ultimately winning the game. Fantasy managers everywhere are celebrating the stellar performances from Wilson, Neighbors, and the rest of the league's stars, while also strategizing for the weeks ahead. The high-scoring nature of Week 2 has set an exciting tone for the rest of the fantasy season. And speaking of those Giants and Cowboys, we're about to dissect exactly how that game unfolded, revealing how a vintage Russell Wilson performance was tragically wasted in a heartbreaking loss. Giants' heartbreak in Dallas, how a vintage Wilson game slipped away. The New York Giants snatched defeat from the jaws of victory against the Dallas Cowboys in a game that will haunt their fans for a long time. Despite a vintage performance from quarterback Russell Wilson, who threw for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns, the Giants fell 40-37 in overtime, dropping them to an abysmal 0-2 on the season. The game seemed to be within the Giants' grasp when receiver Malik Neighbors snagged a spectacular 48-yard touchdown pass from Wilson with just 25 seconds left in regulation, giving them a 3-point lead. However, the Giants' defense, which had been inconsistent all game, couldn't prevent Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott from driving his team into field goal range. Kicker Brandon Aubrey, with his powerful leg, sent a 64-yard field goal through the uprights as time expired, forcing overtime. In the extra period, a costly interception by Wilson, who was otherwise brilliant, proved to be the final nail in the coffin. The Cowboys capitalized, driving for a game-winning field goal. This loss marks yet another painful defeat against the Cowboys, extending a brutal streak of futility against their rivals. The Giants' defense, despite investments in players like Paulson Adebo and Abdul Carter, struggled to contain Prescott and the Cowboys' offense, allowing numerous big plays and costly penalties. Fans and analysts alike are lamenting the wasted effort from Wilson and the offensive unit, pointing to defensive breakdowns and a lack of discipline as the primary culprits. The early 0-2 start has put the Giants in a familiar and unwelcome hole as they look to salvage their season. But the football action doesn't stop there. We've got more highlights and fantasy football insights coming your way, so stay tuned. Giants' defensive woes cost them an overtime loss to Cowboys. The New York Giants suffered a devastating 40-37 overtime loss to the Dallas Cowboys, a game where a stellar performance from quarterback Russell Wilson was ultimately undone by defensive lapses and costly penalties. Wilson threw for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a go-ahead score to Malik Neighbors with under 30 seconds left in regulation, but it wasn't enough. The Giants' defense, touted as a strength entering the season, struggled to contain Dak Prescott, who completed 38 of 52 passes for 361 yards and 2 touchdowns. Despite recording 3 sacks, the Giants' defensive backs gave up crucial big plays, including a 27-yard gain in overtime that set up the Cowboys' game-winning field goal. Cornerback Drew Phillips had a mixed game, recording an interception, but also committing multiple pass interference penalties, including one that extended the drive, leading to the Cowboys' game-tying field goal. Penalties plagued the Giants throughout the game, with the team flagged 14 times for 160 yards. Offensive lineman James Hudson was particularly problematic, committing 4 penalties on the opening drive alone. These mistakes, coupled with defensive breakdowns like missed tackles on a 30-yard touchdown run by Javonte Williams, proved too much to overcome. The loss drops the Giants to 0-2, continuing a long streak of defeats against the Cowboys. Fans are expressing frustration over the team's inability to close out games and the recurring issues with penalties and defensive consistency. The hope for a strong defensive showing has been overshadowed by a series of costly errors and missed assignments. And that's a wrap on our game analysis. But don't go anywhere, because we're about to give you the full recap of all the week's top stories and tell you how to stay connected. And that's a wrap on another action-packed week of sports news. We saw Russell Wilson roll back the years in a thrilling Giants-Cowboys clash, Malik Neighbors and Amon-Ra St. Brown dominate fantasy football, and the Giants tragically let a vintage Wilson performance slip away in a heartbreaking overtime loss. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Roger Report for all your sports updates, hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment, leave a comment with your biggest takeaways, and follow us on all our social channels. We'll see you next time.